Hi everyone, and welcome to part 1 of Conejos Valley Ranch down there in the San Luis Valley, southern Colorado, on the New Mexico border. I'm working on 11 by 14 I believe today, and it's tone canvas. So what we introduced today is how to use acrylics on a tone canvas. And we introduced a couple new colors, which we'll get into. But basically what I wanted to do is emphasize to you the importance of a simple block-in with minimal shapes. And you can see how we can build on that foundation in part 2 and 3 of this painting. So I unravel all that today, and I think you're going to really enjoy this painting. So with that, I want you to keep painting with me every week here in the studio. That's one way I got good, was to practice every week. And the other thing is get outside and paint. Join a paint group, get critiques, and have a lot of fun in all this. Okay, with that, let's get started. Good morning again, and welcome to Conejos Valley Farm. This is going to be a 3-part series. And I'm working on canvas on gator board. I'm going to be painting on 11 by 14, I believe that is. And the reason I have 2 canvases, I want to show you, we're introducing something here this morning, toning a canvas. You can tone with oils, you can tone with acrylics. This morning I'm going to introduce acrylics. The reason I'm doing that is because they dry quicker. So I've used toning a lot in my painting career, but when I got on camera I thought maybe I'd start with white canvas because you could see my drawings better in the first part of the painting, you know, the block-in phase when we're doing shapes. I don't know, maybe that's why I'm keeping it kind of thin, but I'm going to show you all how to do that. And for my Zoom students, you probably don't have enough time to get this done, and that's no big deal because you're used to working on white canvas. So what I have here is acrylic paint. From the overhead you can see that, and for my Zoom students, let me show you these looks like a burnt sienna and a Naples. So that's the paint I have here. I squeezed them out here. And mostly it's Naples, and then this is water right here. Try not to mix terp with acrylic. It really screws things up, and vice versa, water with oils. So you just mix a lot of water with some acrylic, and I just put it on. You can put it on also with a rag, like so. And that's how you can tone a canvas with acrylic. If you do it with oils, you might want to do it the previous day, so it'll be nice and dry to work on. Some people like to work wet on wet and put their oil tone down and then paint right on top of it. Why I choose this is just it's quick, it's easy, and I'm working on a dry surface. So I'm going to move this equipment over and introduce a few other things here too. So let me just introduce some things here. I have to clean this brush before it hardens up. Acrylic dries very quickly, so I have to clean my big brush here real quick. And I think I got it sufficient enough to where I can start on the oils. So I'm probably going to be using an 8, a 6, and some sort of a little drawing die here. I might be using a mop And that's a name that I invented. And these are just cheap old brushes that Soho has, and they flare out pretty quick. And I use them as kind of mops, and I'll explain a little bit more about mops as we go along. It's a term I invented in our recent plein air trip that we had down on the southern Colorado border with some of my friends who are Zooming with me today, one in Prescott and the other one in Alamosa, Ann and Jan. So welcome, Zoom students. So, those are my brushes. This is my most favorite. It's a T7 palette knife. And I want to go with my basic palette first. So here's my blue, red, yellow. That's the basic color wheel they can make. A whole rainbow of colors. This is an ultra blue by Rembrandt. This is a permanent red medium by Rembrandt. And this is a lemon yellow by Gamblin. Naples yellow deep by Rembrandt, and a cold gray. The reason I have these two in coordination with these three basic ones is I call them mixers. They help mix the paint and make things grayer, brighter, duller. And that's the reason for these two. Of course, on the lower right, I have a titanium white. Any brand will do. And over on the right, I have a raw sienna, which is an addition to my basic palette, and a viridian. Now, I'm always playing with new colors, but these are my basics right here. And what I'm playing with, and I want to see if I can use today, are two additional colors. One is manganese blue hue by Gamblin. And I've been using that in some previous paintings and have introduced it to you previously. And the other one is Brilliant Scarlet by Mussint, M-U-S-S-I-N, Mussint. And a friend of mine, V. Vaughn from Round Rock, Texas, introduced that to me, and I have that right up here now. See if I can play with that. Makes some great purples. I was messing with it this morning. And it's just a great color. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with some lines. So I want to try to figure out where the shapes are on this painting, which is the Conejos Valley Farm in southern Colorado. And I'm going to mix a blue and a raw sienna and a white. Mix the turp in there, and I've got this cheap old brush. It's all kind of flared out, and it's just a kind of something I can use to figure out where some shapes are going to be. Now, where am I going to build from? I want to do a foundation line, something I can build up and build down from, and I'm going to pretend right here is a horizon line, where the end of that road ends on the left, and on the right it's kind of hidden, but I'm going to say it's flat like the San Luis Valley, and I'm going to say it's about a third up. And that's my horizon line. And from that, I see some angles. One is coming this way, and another comes across here, which is the road. And from there, then we have one huge tree. And it's going to be a pretty boring painting if we cover everything with a lollipop shape. So we want to put some relief in this tree and not make it look, equal on both sides. So this one side is different than the other. And all this is going to be tree. And this is going to be something to do with trees over here. And that's my basic big shape. Now, of course, we have some of these things like a house, telephone poles, and some fences. And of course, shadows coming across road. So let's get some shadow design. And they get thicker as you get closer to you. So as the foreground goes back, there's thinner, skinnier shadows. And then there's also this is some sort of a dark value, grass or shade and stuff like that in here. And that's my basic shape. I'd also, at this stage, like to do something a little bit more specific. I think there's a house back in here, and I want to kind of make it a little larger than it probably is. And that'll be house. And then I think there's vegetation back in here. And over here are fences in this area. All right, so since I have this nice gray mixture down here, I'm just going to run my paper towel in it and just start getting some value in this tree. And that should do it about the drawing color. It's about shot now. It's gone. All right, that's that. I'm going to clean my palette. What's ever left there is so minimal, probably can't be used. I'm going to squeeze out some cleaner white here. And double check my cameras. And everybody seems to be recording just fine. Just to warn you, people that are that use YouTube, I'm going to be transitioning over from YouTube to a new platform called Uscreen here in the future. Uscreen is something that I can use to charge for videos. Right now I've been charging for the last 6 months. Everything was free, but I can't go on doing that. But I have certainly gathered an audience on YouTube, and I can see that. And I thank YouTube for that. It's taught me a lot. Never knew anything about editing or anything until until COVID started. All right, let's go to the next phase. So I'm going to use this next brush, which is a 6 flat. And I don't know how I got so much paint on it, but I got Viridian on it already. Darn, okay. So next mixture, let's get into these darks right here. So we'll go blue. Raw sienna. Makes a nice rich green. Add a little lemon. And I'm going to go back to a little bit more blue. What I'm looking for is this dark color here in shadow in the tree. So the basic combination here is ultra blue and raw sienna. I added just a little bit of lemon. Be careful with that lemon, it can really brighten it up quick. So, I'm getting my number 866, and I'm going to get in here and look where my darks are. This stage of the painting, block-in, is thin paint. The reason for thin paint is we're going to be working with more paint on top of it, and I don't want this to, this stage I want it to kind of show me if I'm in the right neighborhood with color and value, and compare one color to the next and see how they're working together. And then we can make better judgments tomorrow to see how we can be more assured when we're putting on heavier values and colors. All right. I'm going to use some of this same color here in the grass. And working down here now on the grass area, and I'm working on the right side of the painting. Still, I'm using up all that mixture I have. And I have to bring this down, I believe. A drawing error there. This actually comes down to about the corner. Now where I see the lighter area, I'm going to add more terp, dry my brush, and put just a sketchy little color in to where the lights are. It's lighter, it's not as dark. But down here is a dark, if you take a look at the reference. You can find this reference on georgecollgreatart.com, or you can download it from the student updates I send out, or maybe even off of Uscreen. Okay, so I'm going to do blue, raw sienna, viridian, and some red. Makes a nice dark. Darker than what I have. You'll see that immediately as soon as I get it up there. I'm going to get a good sloppy brush of it, and you can see it's darker. And I see a few dark places up in here, and I'm just going to augment them a little bit more. So this part of the painting is more of the abstract one. I think I've got a good dark that I need right here too. And perhaps in the side of the house. Okay. Since we're in the tree, let's get the lights in there now. Picking up this mixture, and we're going to change over to an ultra blue, lemon, Naples. I'm going to pick up some of that color I mixed here for the basic green. And I think I'm a little dark. And I'm going to add some white to that mixture. Okay, again, that was ultra blue, lemon, a little bit of Naples, and some white. I'm running low on Naples. Give me a second. I'm going to squeeze some out. really try to help my students with at this stage is don't get too complicated. Look, we just had some basic shapes here. And now we're working on some basic values. That's the deal. It's a great color, isn't it? Ooh la la. And if you want to thin some paint to put on top, just get your paper towel and do that. So there's more light on the right side than the left side. I think we can use some of this on the ground, on the shoulder of the road. I added some more white because when you have an angle that's on the ground, it's usually a little lighter than a vertical. This would be the horizontal. Somewhere in here there's, and I think these are like back in here. And I think there's a dark over here somewhere. I've got a drawing error and I'm going to bring some darks out a little bit farther over here. And I see that this comes in a little bit here. And that will do that. All right, let's get down to the road. Picking this up over to the side. And let's get some red. And I'm going to try out Vivon's red, which is the Brilliant Scarlet. I'm going to add a little blue to it. Oh, geez, too much. Probably screwed that up. Let's lighten it up now. And add a little gray. Or gray. So that was ultra blue, red, and gray with some titanium white. And this is the first time I have used the scarlet. And I'm using this for shadow. Oh my God, that's pretty. Whew. So it's kind of a gray purple. And let me see, this shadow goes like this. Let me get my angles right. This probably reflects the trees over here. And I need to flatten these a little bit more here. And I'll get these here. And next I'm going to do the lights, which I see more Naples, and with just a little bit of purple in it. So I took a little bit that we just had on the road and some white. That white nailed it, knocked it out too much. I have to go back to Naples. All right, that should do it. I think that should do it. Good base. I'll put some here. And here. I'm probably missing some shadows, but you get the basic idea here. I know there's some worms and stuff in here, and I'll get to that. But let's get some, I'll keep playing around with this new red. The brilliant scarlet. Whoa, man, what a color. I just can't stay away from experimenting with new stuff. And I'm mixing that into the road color or some Naples. And I'm going to put that over here and get some light on this roof. Just to say, I thought this wasn't a detail stage, George, and there I am doing some detail. Well, you want to have a little fun, right? And I'm going to add some raw sienna to this mixture. Scarlet, raw sienna, white. What a nice warm color. As reds go. Oop, lost it. Jeez, George. Be careful with the white. Naples, scarlet. And I'm going to put some of that in this area here. We'll eventually work on that to make it look like a fence or something like that. And I'll get some here and some other various places. I'll darken that up with some raw sienna. And I'll put some in. I'm just going to go for straight raw sienna now. Over in this corner. And maybe just get the knife and get a light back in here. I'll put some over on the other side of the tree also. Some raw sienna. And lost my dark, so I'll just try to scream some down. And I need to bring some lights in here so the tree doesn't look so fat. And I'll do that now. All right, let's get up to the sky now. Now for sky, I'm going to just put in a thin manganese blue hue. I call it the cheater's color because it's so easy. That and Sevres blue is a nice, if you want a nice light sky. And we'll get clouds on it later. But, so it's Gamblin manganese blue hue. It's probably not one of those cheap paints. Probably going to spend some money when you buy that one. All right, I'm cleaning my brush, and I'm going to switch over to a new one, and I'm going to go up to a 8 and get some manganese and some white. So I'm going to make it darker on one side, lighter on the other. So here's my light, and here's my darker blue. And I have my two colors right there. I have my brush ready. I'm just going to remind myself to keep things thin. And I'm going to get the lighter color in the bottom. And start slopping this baby in. And now I'm going to go to the darker. And we should have this thing about blocked in. Again, this is thin paint. And for gosh sakes, have some fun during this stage. Oop, got some contamination there. And I'm going to get a really dark blue right up in here. Just a few strokes of that. And as I go down, I'm going to make it a little lighter. So I almost have, it's almost white with just a little bit of blue. Then I have a mixture of blue and white, and then up here I have more blue. This is the more blue stuff on top. And you have a transition. And I'll show you how to even that out a little bit. And now I'm going to soften the edges just by running a wet brush through some of the edges. And running the tree off here. I know there's sky holes and things that we can get into later. But that is the nature of a blocking. Nope. Kick the camera. Turn it. All right, with that, I'm going to stand back and take a look, see how we're doing here. And as block-ins go, I think that's a good one. Now what I'm going to do here off camera in the tree, and I'm going to start here, is softening my edges between the light green and the dark green. See how I can just, you can do this with a brush or a knife. And it just kind of evens it out a little bit. Keeps it thin too. And I'm going to soften it over here too. And that is the block in. And with that, we're going to bring this to a close. And I'll clean up my dirty palette here and get ready for tomorrow. I'm looking forward to being back here with you for part 2 of Conejos Valley Farm. Okay, with that, happy painting. And don't get too far ahead of me. Stay with me and we'll finish this painting in 2 more sessions. All right. With that, I'm going to bring this to a close. Bye-bye.